Thursday night. You're putting a plug in there for before you say I do. So we had this discussion, and persons was saying that, you know, they don't need space from their spouse, you know, but the spouse is upstairs and they're downstairs. That space, that space. Listen, if he's watching football and you want to watch a movie, that is space that you're taking. That is a boundary that you're setting. So, okay, I'm not interested in football. I don't want to learn football or any kind of sport. So I'm going to give him his space so that he is able to enjoy his sport game and I can enjoy my movie. That is healthy. Nothing is wrong with that. Just don't make it a habit of always wanting to be by yourself. Now that's when it becomes dangerous. But him doing his thing and you doing your thing, nothing is wrong with that. Especially if you don't like sports, because you're going to sit there, ask a bunch of questions, and that's going to frustrate them. Unless you're into sports, then I can say, okay, you know, go ahead. But if you're not interested, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. It's really going to be a problem, and then it's not fair. It's not fair for what what is to come. All right, and so designate when you need space. You know, I think it's the playoffs now with Boston and the Golden State, right? And so if you don't like basketball, find something else to do. Don't interrupt them. Don't and if you like basketball, set a healthy competition. You know, maybe you choose the opposite side.
Yes, yes,
You know, well, I want Boston to win, or I want Golden State to win.
yes.
But don't, you know, don't get on there, right, at the game and, oh, I don't like your team, and no, say just let the outside be your team, so you have a healthy rival. And because this is marriage, you set a prize. You set a prize. If his team win, he gets to choose whatever activities he want to do with you, and vice versa. You
Yes.
say step out of it, right?
Healthy competition. Yes, and it builds those connections. It definitely helps. You see, the good thing, my husband, he's a soccer fan. So guess what? Soccer is all year round.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He likes to play his soccer. Before I met him, if wherever he is, he's gonna find a soccer field. That's
Right.
his me time, right? And I encourage it. You know, he have his Sundays when he go play soccer or whichever day, was mostly on Sundays. And that
Mhm.
works out for me because I get my me time and he get his me time. And whenever he's not able to play soccer because of the rain or stuff like that, he'll find, a game on TV to watch and stuff like that. And I'll help cheer him on because it's healthy for a man to have their time out, just like it's healthy for us to have our girl time or me time. It is necessary because
It
then when
is.
we come together, we have something new to talk about. I can say, babe,
Right.
how was the game today?
Mhm.
And it's a healthy conversation. We get to laugh and have fun about it. And it builds that connections. So it
It
is
does.
necessary to be interdependent and independent in a relationship.
True. Let me tell you something. The me time is so important. That me time boundary is so important and necessary and healthy. Let me tell you something. Listen, and we're gonna get to this in the next thing about setting healthy boundaries is, establish how comfortable you are in the scope of COVID. Now, COVID came and persons found out, Nikki, Evangelist Nikki, that they did not like their spouse. Child, they did not like their spouse and they did not like their children because work was a way of escaping for 8 to 12 hours or 14 hours. The kids are home, the husband is home, everybody's doing work from home, school from home. And so now you're here for 2 years in the home together. Can't go nowhere. And you find out, oh Lord, I don't really like my wife company or my husband company or even my children company. Now you see what the teacher was talking about, that John don't listen. You thought you said you had an angel when you sent him to school, but John was not such an angel afterward. And you went to work and your spouse went to work. And so now you're in the home, you have to cohabitate 24/7. Now, that can drive all of us to take a strong drink. And so we had to learn. I know I had to learn about setting healthy boundaries during the pandemic and still do. You know what I mean? So the pandemic has showed up and said, wait a minute, I'm going to see how much you really love your spouse and your children. And do you know that I was doing a research about the pandemic and relationship, and more than like 30% of couples divorced or domestic violence increased, child abuse increased during the pandemic? During the pandemic. Why? Because persons were stuck together and didn't have anything else to do, no other outlet. So they got on each other's nerve. Now, I'm not an advocate of abuse of any kind, but it goes to show you that we have to set boundaries. And so COVID came and we said, oh no, I don't want to be in the house with him or her 24 hours. Wait a minute. Can I find somewhere to go, something to do? I'll go food shopping by myself today. You know, or you go food shopping and I'll stay home. So we have to make sure that when we're setting boundaries, you know, nothing is wrong with it. And I just want us to normalize that, you know, we're in the home together all the time. And even if you're not in the home together all the time, when you do come together, that time should be so much fun and entertaining and enjoyment, you know. So, and boundaries still have to be set. Healthy boundaries. There's nothing wrong with healthy boundaries. Amen. Go ahead, elaborate on that, Evangelist, because I know you want to.
I totally agree. There's multiple ways, because I did come across that research as well, with the pandemic, where, like you said, a lot of us, the escape was to go to the office, and that was our break from reality. Because when you're in the office, you're on performance, right? You're in task, you're in action. So you put on that performance, and you know, you get to dress up, whatever it is. You know, you're getting out. You have your me time during the traffic, and you have those, you know, because that's what a lot of people get their me time. It was during their commute for a lot of folks. Their commute was their me time, their one-on-one time. So now, like you said, with working from home, schooling from home, and trying to understand between those 8 hours to balance it out was a lot of problem for me as an introvert now. Speaking for me, putting myself out there, you know, I need my space. So, you know, it was necessary after work or I'll take a break or so, and I'll go for a walk outside, right? I'll do a 15 minutes walk around the block and come back. After work, I'll still take my little walk and my little time, you know, and go out. And then every now and then we'll go for a walk with my spouse and so forth. But like you said, if you never had those, like what we did in COVID, it just reminds us of how we use today. So for us, it gives us a time to reconnect, because my husband works away from home. So for that time, he was home most of the time. And I work out of the office, right? I mean, in the office. So it was, for us, it was a reflecting moment to reminisce and do the simple things, because a lot of places, you know, was restricted, right? Restaurant and stuff like that. So we get, because we're both nature folks, so we both get to enjoy nature, go to the park, go for a walk. The things we used to do when we were dating, we were able to laugh and just have fun of those moments again by just reminiscing. And that's what they said in the dating stage is to build those foundation, what you like to do, by expressing it, setting those boundaries. So when you get married now, it's not news, it was already acknowledged. So now we can go back to do what we used to do. But a lot of people forget the dating stage. And that's why, like you said, when we set boundaries, it's important to continue to date your spouse. It doesn't stop once you said, I do. And that's where you see a lot of people say, I don't know who you are anymore, because their dating world, their husband, their wife become the workplace. So now that you have to face your actual spouse, they become like this person that you don't have a relationship, because the relationship was mostly being built with those people that you work with. Now you can't build those relationships because you're behind a glass screen. And we need that connection. We need those intimate connection, those communication to build back those desires for each other. So COVID, it's a multiple way to look at it. Like I said, the statistics show a lot of people forget why we are together. And it's important, anyone in a relationship, you have to know your why. Even when you choose a career, you have to know your why. When you want a job, you have to know your why. And it's the same thing with marriage. You have to know your why. Why am I with this person? There is always a why. And when you forget the why, you forget why you're here. And then, like you said, who are you again? Why did I marry? You ever hear people ask that question? Why am I with this person? Why? Because they forget their why and forget the boundaries that they said that was important. Let's continue to date each other. Yes, the restaurant closed. Yes, this place closed. But guess what? We have nature. It doesn't take any money to go for a walk and just have those reflective moments, reminiscing of how it was. Listen to bird chirping, right? Those are important boundaries to set. Babe, don't let us stop date. And when one person forget and say, oh, you don't take me out no more. Or we don't, you ever hear this saying, oh, he don't bring me roses no more. We don't do the thing that we used to do, because now we left it on that one person. Because most of the time in the dating stage, remember, it's a man that always doing the pursuing, right? So they'll bring you the roses, they'll open the car door, they'll make sure, you know, the date is set and everything, because they're the pursuer, right? So we expect that to happen when we're in a marriage. And in a marriage, no, it's now two persons are working to become one.
Yes.
So now it's okay for a while to say, babe, let's go on a date. Don't just tell him go on a date and ask him where he want to go. Set the date, set the time, because men like specific, they like detail. They say, okay, I'll be there, right? Don't say, babe, you haven't taken me out in a long time, and it's COVID, we don't do nothing, we're just in the house all day. That's a recipe for disaster. Our attitude or action have to be aligned with the boundaries that is set, that is clear, that, babe, let's do this on Thursday. It doesn't have to be a weekend, right? If you have other things to do, because people feel like you can only date on the weekend. No, you choose 7 days in the week, whichever work for your calendar, whichever work for your work-life balance. It's okay to say, let's do a Monday date, a Wednesday date. It's okay. Where people think, oh, you're so busy on the weekend, you never hear on the weekend. My husband plays soccer on Sunday. He'll leave the house like from 10 to 2, 3 o'clock in the evening. I'm doing church, right? Well, when he comes back in the evening, he'll catch the replay, right? Because, you know, the church is broadcast. So he'll not say, oh, you always go play soccer. You're not here to do church with me. No, go enjoy your me time. Church will be there. And I enjoy my church. And then you get to listen to it, the afterplay, the replay, and we can talk about it together later on. Where somebody like, you got to be in church with me. And then he's going to be there miserable. No, set healthy boundaries. And it does not stop once you say, I do. That's where the work begins, to execute on those boundaries. So yes, COVID have a way to show people like, yeah, we were really together, but not together. So to speak.
That is true. That is so true. Let me tell you something. It's amazing, you know, what COVID has taught so many people. You know, like you said, COVID came and cause you and your spouse to start dating again. And I think that's good. Because you know how sometimes people see how long since they got married, they haven't dated. Now, let me tell you something. I would be going crazy if my husband wasn't dating me. And I'm just really grateful that, you know, when we do get together, we're out. Sometimes I want to cook. He's like, no, babe, let's go out. You always cooking. So you know, we've got to set healthy boundaries, right? And this one right here, I think we might have to do, repeat this one. Communicate with respect. Let's normalize communicating to our spouse with respect. We want respect, but I find that sometimes we don't give the respect. Men want and need and crave respect. That's what they want. And that's what we need to give them. RESPECT. That is what it means to him. Respect him. Communicate. You know, sometimes I hear people say, my husband always say, I don't know how to talk to him. Let me tell you something. if I can say I don't know, and it come out different two ways. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's three ways, right? Now, none of those ways was respectful unless you see, oh, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? But our tone, and I saw someone say, lead also with respect. Do you know that when you respect your spouse, the children respect their parent, and other people outside of your relationship respect your spouse? But if you talk to them any kind of way, the people on the outside, the children, they're not going to respect your spouse. And you're going to be like, wait a minute, whoa, what happened? You'd better respect my husband. But you don't respect him, so why should I? So we've got to be careful that we are communicating with respect. All right? Go ahead, add yours, Evangelist Nikki.
I absolutely, because men speak love with respect. When a woman wants to hear "I love you," you could tell a man, yes, they want to hear it every now and then, but it doesn't mean volume as when you show them that you respect them and speak with them in respect. And like you said, if we are, as somebody just mentioned, we have to lead with respect. And if we're not showing it, the others around is going to feed off our same energy. And like you just demonstrate, we could say the same thing, but the tone and the body language does not speak respect. It's condescending, it's demeanoring, right? It's not what you said, it's how you said it to them. Because what I said to folks is, would you speak to your boss like that? Would you speak to your boss like that, the way you speak to your spouse, right? Would you like your boss to speak to you like that? And if your boss speaks to you like that, how do you feel about that boss, right? You know me, I'm corporate America, so I'm always going to bring back things to the workplace. But yes, a lot of time we will give the boss, the superiors on the job, or colleagues on the job respect, other than our spouse. And the way we'll talk to our boss and our colleague, I would tell people, if you would not speak to your boss like that, don't speak to your spouse like that.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Communication is so important in every relationship. I don't know. I think we need to just beat that horse till it comes back alive. We don't want it to die. We want it to come back alive. So we need to really beat that, right? And so all I'm gonna just repeat this. All healthy relationships have boundaries.
Yes. And it's necessary.
And it's necessary, right? Now, do you know that we need to ask our spouse permission? That's a boundary that we need to set.
Yes.
We just feel like we're grown adults and I don't have to ask permission. I can just do what I want to do. No.
And that's respect right there. That's respect.
That's respect. Asking permission and giving accountability of where you're going. What if something happens?
Exactly. It's not, because a lot of people he don't need to know. Why he needs to have a GPS on me? Because if you're thinking like that, you know what you're doing. Your intention is not healthy. Let's put it like that. It should be okay to say, you know what I'm saying? It's okay, like you just mentioned, something could happen. And somebody call you, and even like what I do, Evangelist, one of the things, like you said, as for accountability, as far as your whereabouts, I always make sure whenever my spouse is leaving the house, I know exactly what he's wearing. You know why? Because I always try to give him a hug or a kiss before he leave, but with the intention, he don't know that I'm checking out to see what he's wearing. You know why? Something could happen and somebody called you, and I'm saying I haven't heard from my spouse for a minute, haven't seen him for a minute, and I have to make an emergency call or whatever. You know what they're gonna say? Around what time did he leave? What clothes was he wearing? You get what I'm saying? So I remember recently my husband was telling me about this gentleman that he's a trucker, because my husband is in trucking, and he was on the side of the road dead for 24 hours or 36 hours, something to that nature. And it takes a police to go see if that person, to check on the vehicle, because there was no accountability. No accountability. It is necessary to tell friends, close friends, in a relationship, your spouse need to know, like you said, things happen. And we need to be able, if somebody contact us, emergency, police or whatever, hopefully it doesn't have to be that, but we have to be realistic. Life happen, right? You must be able to say, my wife said she left and she went to, Kroger or, Macy's or something, right? What color clothes was she wearing? The simple thing that we take for granted, it is very imperative. A lot of folks in the house don't even know or even see their spouse when they leave the door or leave the house.
That's crazy. We have to do better, as couples in taking accountability. We got to ask permission. Listen, I'm away from my husband a lot too, and I still have to tell my husband where I'm going, just in case. The other day, my girlfriend came and she was like, you know what? I don't even have your husband's phone number in case we're together and something happened to you. I need to be able to call him. You know what I mean? So it's important. Accountability. We need to hold each other accountable, especially in our relationships. We need to do that. There's nothing wrong with being held accountable. Nothing is wrong with it. Like Evangelist Nikki says, if you don't want to give that accountability, then I don't even think you need to be in a good relationship, because it's going to be like pulling teeth. You're going to be like,
you're already putting yourself out as a suspect, Evangelist. If you can't give accountability for where you are, you already putting yourself out there as a suspect, meaning my spouse cannot trust me. You know what I mean? That's what is registering. Well, what is that big secret about? You are telling your spouse, you're teaching your spouse, if you cannot be held responsible, that you are a suspect and you cannot be trusted. Yeah. So like you said, it's going to start conflict, right? Oh, you don't trust me. Why you don't trust me? Already on the defense. It doesn't have to be like that. Your spouse shouldn't have to ask, right?
They shouldn't have to.
The minute they have to do that, you're a suspect. That's my humble opinion. I know others might beg to differ, but you're teaching your spouse not to trust you.
Yeah, and that is true. And that's just the facts and the reality of it. Ask permission. Listen, this number 2, I think, is very important. It's not number 2. I think it's like maybe number 6 or 8. 6 or 8. I think it's number 8 or maybe number 7. Take one another's feelings into account. That is so important. Your spouse's feelings is important. And this speaks to when it comes to our family members. And even the children. Someone asked me the other day, who comes first before God? I said, your spouse, your husband. It was a female. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, your spouse is before your mama, his mama, and the children is before. Your spouse is before the children. They're like, what? I'm like, yes. It's God, your husband, then you. Listen, your spouse is right after God. Right after God. Nobody is more important than your spouse. And I want those of you that may be listening in and is single to get it in your spirit that your spouse comes before your parents. Yes, I know you love mom and daddy, and we're not telling you stop loving them. What we're saying is your spouse comes before them. I know a lot of people, yes, they love their mama, they love their daddy. You may be mama's boy, you may be daddy's girl, but your spouse is before your daddy that you love so much and your mom that you love so much. And even the children that you gave birth to, your husband or your wife is first before them. Let me tell you something. That's so important, because you don't ever want to feel like or make your spouse feel like you putting somebody before them. Even your husband, it comes before your job. It comes before church and ministry. It comes first. I see so many people in the kingdom of God putting ministry and leadership before their spouse, and it's causing havoc in their relationship. You're wondering why your unsaved spouse don't want to come to church, because you're putting church and everything that concerns church before them. We've got to do better. We have to, and we must. This is a must. This is compulsory. This is mandatory. Your spouse's feelings is before everybody else. It is.
I know, like I had this dialogue before with quite a few different folks, and the mindset we have to understand, like you and I, we didn't get to this level overnight.
No.
We have to unlearn what we have learned, because when you're single for a while and it's just you and your child, you understand, and you have somebody else come in, it takes a lot to unlearn that the child now, you know, your spouse is ahead, right? And if you just live in your parents' house, you've never been away from your parents, and that's all you know all your life, and you just move into marriage on your own, into a relationship from your parents' house to your spouse home, it takes a lot to unlearn. So we're not going to say it happened overnight. And if you're not there yet, don't shoot us down. We're telling you to unlearn what you've been taught, that it's God's, your husband is the head of the wife, and then the children and everyone else. When we make work, because a lot of folks before they were workaholic and they got married, the work is still their husband or their spouse. You know, you hear some folks, I don't know if y'all ever heard this term, but in my world, we usually have what is called work husband and work wives, right? But when we married now, it cannot be so. You know, work will call and you'll drop everything if you have a date or something planned with your spouse. No, 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 you don't do that. You know, your house is your spouse is your priority. And I knew a few folks, evangelists, being in Christendom for such a long time, growing up in Christendom, actually, see a lot of folks is married to the church, and their spouse is their second ministry. And it's not so. Your house is your husband, your wife, excuse me, is your first ministry. Your home is your first ministry as husband and wife. You cannot go take care of God's house if you can't take care of the one that you are the head of. How are you going to lead outside of the home? When you're home, you can't protect home. How are you supposed to lead God's flock? And that's what people misconstrue, that I have to do this for church, and they don't prioritize their significant other. Church will call 24/7. There's no boundaries. There we go. There was no healthy boundaries set. Yes, I'm in ministry, but you have to let the folks know these are the times you can reach me. And I promise you, if they call you at 10 o'clock tonight, that same message will get 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll get to it the next day. It's fine. If it's life and death, I always say to my spouse, you know, after 9 o'clock, 9:30, anyone calling you after that, if it's an emergency, they're dialing the wrong number anyway. Wrong number. Because there's nothing you can do from where you are. You have to set those healthy boundaries and know that home is your priority. And a lot of time, evangelists, like you said, we see in Christendom the same amount of divorce rate as in the secular world, because we're not abiding with what the word said as far as our first ministry. Right? Those are some of the examples that people are cited on, that they're married to church. Oh, I can't turn down an engagement. Even though it's your spouse anniversary, you already had, you know, vacation plan, paid for and everything, ministry call, you need to travel to XYZ location. You tell your wife you need to reschedule. That is not LT boundaries.
For disaster.
Yes, yes. So as we're talking about boundaries, it is important to set boundaries in ministries. It is important to set boundaries with your work life. There is a meeting coming up, and all of a sudden they just had it on your calendar and you already have something pre-planned. They're calling you, hey, we reschedule, can we revisit at this time? Yeah. Right. You have to make sure that our spouse feel like they're a priority by showing it, not just saying, no, she's my priority, but your action does not align with it. And then no one like to feel like they are a second place in your life when our spouses are a priority. So it is imperative, I implore you, if you have not done it before and you're assuming or you're wishing on healthy boundaries, it's not too late to start today. Sit down with each other, and it's okay to start today. Set those healthy boundaries. Don't be fuming because you have a speaking engagement and cancel your date night. And then you have all this anger and animosity built up. We have to, even if you said, okay, honey, we're going to be a little bit late, or ask permission, like you, Evangelist, just mentioned. Is it okay, dear, if we can revisit this or reschedule it? You know, let them feel a part of it. Don't tell them, well, church call, well, the boss said. So who is the priority here? Work will always be there, and you're not going to be at work forever. Church will not go anywhere. Church will be there. And folks will be okay. But you got to lead your home before you can go outside and lead the other side of the fence, by starting setting LT boundaries, having those dialogue. It's okay to revisit. If something, you know, people grow, right? And things change. So we can go back and revisit and say, you know what, let's tweak this. Let's do it this way. But make sure we're asking permission before we assume that the boundary is line up being moved without, you know, communicating it.
And even if you are the leaders of the church, if you're the, please set some boundaries and don't have people calling your house late at night for counseling, especially single women or single men. And like you say, you're going to cancel anniversary because of church. No, 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 no. Because that's where a lot of resentment comes in, and
Yes,
people
yes.
feel like they're unappreciated when you keep canceling because of church. And some people dislike the church and dislike the
Yes.
ministry because of that. So, it's not just for the laity, but it's for leadership as well. Date your wife, go away. Listen, develop some leaders in the ministry so you can take off and not worry if the ministry going to fall apart. This is why we equip.
Yes.
Right? And edify people so that when we need to take a vacation, we can take a vacation. A couple of weeks ago when I was in Suriname, Evangelist Nikki was doing prayer for marriages like I was here. We've got to equip people so the ministry can go on like we're here. You've got to set those boundaries. Let me tell you something. We've just got to be so careful. Boundaries are important. Boundaries are necessary. And like Evangelist Nikki say, if you're not setting boundaries, please start setting some boundaries. It's not too late. The wife may feel resentful. The husband may feel resentful. You can't be superwoman and do everything. You can. It's not reality. You're gonna burn out.
Yes.
You're gonna burn out. And when you burn out, you're gonna become frustrated. You're gonna say stuff that you don't mean. Oh God, and it's gonna be just a domino effect of unhealthy boundaries that's going to be. So it's important to set good boundaries, making sure that you're asking permission, taking your spouse's feeling into accountability, communicating, listening. We've got to do all of these things now. So again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. Thank you, Evangelist Nikki, for coming in. Thank you, those of you listening on Favor FM, those of you on YouTube, Facebook. Thank you, those of you in the Zoom room. I appreciate you much. Let me tell you something. We have to, listen, I was telling somebody earlier, the more and more I'm studying about relationships, is the more I'm finding out that relationships is hard work.
It is. And we put in more work on the job than we put in our relationship.
Yes. And
we put in more work in our, degrees and our education. I'm saying all of those are necessary, but those cannot be your priority. Right. You have to have that balance.
You must have balance is a must. If you don't have balance, you or your spouse is going to feel unappreciative, burned out, and you're going to feel like walking away. So you've got to set those boundaries. Most couples that come to me, Evangelist, and I ask them, do you guys have boundaries? Is this set in place? Nothing is set in place. Nothing is set in place. We've got to be mindful. Don't take each other for granted. Right. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you're not single, you're married. You're married. And like Evangelist Nikki said, the same energy you put in at work, you need to put that in 3 times at home.
Yes. 3 times plus in your home. Yes, because work, you will change career, right? How many times we change career? The career that we give everything to, we end up leave at time, right? And forget about all those people that we cancel on our spouse for, right? So we have to be realistic. Our home is our first CEO. You cannot run a corporation or go on a job, give 110, and you give the mediocre at home. You come in, you barely have the energy for the people that you said you're living for, you're doing it for. Home has to be a priority. Your spouse is your priority.
Yes.
And you have to be intentional. A lot of people said, I don't have the energy, I don't have the time. But if your boss calls you for overtime, you find that energy though, right?
For real. Let me tell you something. I want us, the goal of this ministry is to foster healthy and successful families, relationships, one family at a time. We're taking back one family at a time each week. If we can save a family a week, that will be 52 households that we have saved, from divorce, from separation, from murder. It's very important. And I want to just thank you for listening, and thank you. No, don't just listen, but apply what we're saying to you. Listen, try it out. Try it out. Let me tell you something. Try it out. What's gonna happen? Your marriage gonna be fixed?
I
And you will,
agree. Don't say it doesn't work until you execute. Don't say it does. Try it and tell us that it doesn't work.
it doesn't work. Well,
Try
it
it.
works for me. But trust me, I'm telling you, I've had so many women, especially women that are mouthy and bossy, just to step back and say, okay, for 30 days, change their whole marriage, change their whole relationship. Their husband, if he was coming home late, start coming back home early. Yes, the first couple of days, you're going to feel like an idiot.
Yes.
But guess what? It's because you
Stay the
want
course.
to work. Just, just think about the big picture. This is for my marriage. This is for my marriage. My marriage is gonna work. It's gonna work. Just say, you know what, your family, it's for my family. Just try it. You know, listening. You know, if it's more sex he want with you, from you, do it. More sex she wants from you, with you, do it. More time, do it. Just do it. Be like Nike. Just do it.
And like Chris said, if you're listening, whatever platform you're listening, and we're saying, don't go throw this list to your spouse. We're telling you that is listening.
That's right.
You be the change. Don't say, well, Evangelist Nikki and Evangelist Baker said you should date me. We're saying you be intentional. You be that change. Whoever is tuning in, if you are listening, don't go share, say, my spouse, you need to start doing this. No. You be that change you want to see. We cannot change another mortal person. We only have the power to change ourselves. So you want a healthy marriage, you first have to start to be the change you want to see.
You know what? I like something you said earlier, Evangelist. You said, don't wait for the man your husband to make the date. You set the date.
Yes.
You set the date. Listen, men like that. I got a secret rendezvous for you. Set that up. I'm telling you, you would change the trajectory.
It is a simple walk around the block. It could be a simple walk to the park, or, it doesn't have to be expensive. Where we think, I don't have it could be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. It's just that time where no phones, undivided attention, lock out the world. Because the thing is, a lot of folks, evangelists, they're on the job, they want to come home. They're home, they want to go back to work. No, you have to find that balance. Be where you are, not just present, but intentionally have that sense of being where you are to give your all, not just your shell, but your mind, your heart and soul where you are. Because I see a lot of people running to be out there, and they're out there, they're running to get back home. And I'm like, no, that's not healthy. You're not, you would say, an unstable man, right? The Bible spoke about that. You're very unstable. You have to be intentional. Give your all. It's okay to take a time out from your phone. This generation have this thing called FOMO, fear of missing out. Whatever you see on IG earlier today, it will be there later on this evening. It's fine.
And tomorrow and next week.
Yes, it is fine. It will be there. You're not missing anything. But everybody want to be in the know now. And the people that they said that's important to them, they wait till tragedy happened for them really wanted to give their all.
My God.
Give your all now. Love now. Every day. Love is a decision, and you have to make it every day. Be intentional every day to love the people that are around you. Love the people you're with. And don't give them all for you. Give them all of you. On the job, you go and you give 110. You come home, you only give 10%. No. Be intentional with who you are. Be that change. Don't complain what he's not doing, because you cannot change what he's not doing. You have the power to do what you see fit for your relationship. Don't wait on the husband or the wife to change, because we can't do that. We be that change.
Amen. I see someone with their hand up. Can you type what you're gonna need to ask in the chat? Please type it and we'll address it. While Lady Barnes is typing in the chat, I just want to announce that this week coming up, June 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, is our second anniversary for Before You Say I Do. My God, we have an awesome lineup of speakers. We have Bishop Dr. Austin Wright. We have Minister Kay Dawkins. We have Evangelist Jasmine Black. Yours truly, Elder O'Neill Hughes. We have an awesome lineup of speakers, praise and worship leaders from all over the country. I'm telling you, from all over the world, because it's not just the country, not just America, People are coming in from Jamaica, Canada, the UK, Bahamas, Suriname. So I want those of you on the radio, please tune into one of these sessions. All right. Tune into one of the nights. Thursday. If I want you to tune in every night.
This Thursday, starting this Thursday. So set a reminder, the 16th, it goes down. Yes.
Yes. And also again, July 14th through the 16th, we're going to have a prophetic revival in New York. Myself, Prophet Ramondo Johnson, and Prophet Robert Stevenson is going to be held at the Harvest Room at 9040 160th Street, Jamaica Avenue. You don't want to miss that revival. That's in July. That's ahead of time. We're announcing ahead of time. We just want you to be aware of what is happening with us and in the ministry. But I definitely want you guys to come out this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Oh, Jesus, my God, hallelujah. How do we address when your love language are different, quality time versus receiving gifts?
That's a great, and I can address that because whoever put Sister Barnes, my love language is quality time. My love language is quality time. My husband's love language is act of service, actually. Right. Mm-hmm. So if the thing is, we want them to treat us in our love language, right? It does not work. You know the saying, do unto others as they do unto you, or treat others the way you want to be treated, something like that. No, when it comes down to love language, you have to treat the person in their love language. Like my husband quality time is love language is act of service, right? Now, I will do things that I know for him is important, like cooking, as simple as it sounds. It means something to him to make sure he have a hot meal home, right? Or I'll do an errand for him, make a phone call for him or something. That help him. It doesn't do anything for me, right? But that's his love language. For me now, if I was treating him in quality time and I expect him to treat me that way, then we'll have a conflict, right? So he will treat me with what I like, which is quality time. We'll do the dishes together. We'll do the laundry together, do folding together. For me, that is quality time. We'll watch a movie together. He doesn't like doing the dishes, but he knows how much that bonding time for me is quality time together. So we'll do it together. So what he's doing is treating me how I feel love. And then what I have to do in return is to treat him how he feels love. But a lot of time when it comes to love languages, and it's imperative that everyone do that test by Gary Chapman to see what their spouse love language is, because a lot of time, like Sister Barnes said, if your love language is quality time, and his love language is gifts. So for him to feel loved, or your spouse to feel loved, you have to make sure it's not the elaborate gifts, it's the thought. You buy them a little gift, a little surprise, here's something, a little candle, whatever they like, right? And you'll put it down for them. Make it nice and cute, little gifts there, hide it in different places, like send them someplace to go find the gifts, right? That way they feel love. It might not do anything for you, but it does something for that person. Where you have to express to that person now, your love language is quality time. You let them know how you feel love, how when they spend time with you, when they're with you, they're not on the phone, they're not on social media. When they're talking to you on the phone, they're not putting you on hold, because that's a turn off for me. My husband knows that very well. If I'm having a conversation with him and he has to constantly put me on hold, and it's a call that you can call back, I will hang up on you. Because I don't feel love. I don't feel like a priority in that moment, right? Because I need your undivided attention. So when you express to that person, this is how I feel love. You're not demanding it. You're just expressing to them. And when they treat you that way, you let them know this is how we feel. And guess what? You appreciate them. Thank you for doing the dishes with me. Thank you for not putting me on hold, right? Thank you for not being on the phone while we're having dinner, right? Those simple little things, it helps us. That's love language, our quality time. So we have to express to the person our love language and how we feel love. And then we have to do how they feel love in their love language. So if they like gifts and it be known, you buy them a little gifts, a little card every now and then, even a little lunch you pick up, hey, here's $5 on me for lunch. That's how they feel love. You will go crazy expecting them to treat you with quality time if they don't understand how you feel love.
And I think a lot of that is, you did an excellent job with expounding on that, because I think that's the problem with a lot of persons. They expect their spouse to treat them with their love language, but they just don't know. Amen. So again, we thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Evangelist Nikki, for always coming and being with us. You're one of us. So thank you for coming still. All right. I look forward to see everybody on Thursday night. Please share it on all your the social media platform. We're looking for a high time this week. We're looking for souls to be saved, souls to be delivered, souls to be filled with the Holy Ghost, marriages to be restored, people getting engaged, you know what I mean, being proposed to. So we're looking forward. This weekend is going to be awesome. All right.
Rebuilding back the nuclear family. That's what we're all about. Rebuilding
That's
back the
right.
nuclear family.
The
Yes.
woman. My God.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much. Thank you again, Favor FM, for having us. We love you. God bless you. In Jesus' name. Enjoy the rest of your evening, your rest of your night. I love you all. Love you, love you, love you. Mwah.
See you guys on Thursday. Bye for now.